Now let's build on the 2.11 with 2.12 scene transitions. So taking the similar transition principles that we just learned for the assets and the characters, let's now apply it to the total scene. So instantly in Beyond, the scenes are hard cut. Okay, so this essentially means they're set up in a way where there won't be any transition. So an example would be if I take you to this scene, you'll notice when we transition from scene to scene, it is literally frame by frame. Boom, instant. It's like that instant transition we looked at for the assets. Same applies for the scene. And I personally, when I animate these days, I ensure there are no hard cuts. I like there to be a transition between every single scene. So let's teach you how to do that. So our scene transitions live up here in our top toolbar, scene transitions. And we've got a very similar array to those on the assets. Now, most of these are pretty good. So on the assets, I showed you one or two which are good. When it comes to scenes, all of these are pretty damn good. Different for different purposes. So you may find that some small transitions, so the motion graphics, the rings transition, alongside your sparkle transition, whether horizontal or vertical, those are very good for a quick transition. If the voiceover goes from scene to scene very quickly, and we need to show lots of scenes and lots of frames in a short period, those ones are great for that. And look, you can always do a hard cut, but I wouldn't recommend it. Anything else, the blinds, fade's pretty good for a short scene, but the blinds, the flying out, the iris, the rotate, all these other guys, these are pretty good for your longer scenes. The ones that I like to use personally, I use blinds a lot, I use fade a lot. I'll often mix it up. So you want to vary the scene transitions you use. Don't just get used to using one. I try not to use I try not to use the same transition twice in a 60-second video, and there's often, 5, 10 transitions. So you'll learn which ones work best for each. But look, even if I use fly out, I could use 3 variations of that. Um, Motion graphics. So that's the high level. What I want to show you is something a little bit more complicated. Is I want to show how you can use scene transitions to um, hide an animation change. So we briefly looked at it, how you do that with the specific character to stop the hard cut, but scene transitions is, in my opinion, the number one way you do it. So let's start off with the motion graphics ring. I'll keep it as a 1 second duration. So watch what happens here with our little man down here that we've been focused on. Just see how it did lag a bit on my end. But notice how that's a really cool way of masking it. Really subtle. Brings the viewer's attention to it. Now let's use the one that I mainly use. I mainly use something called Sparkle. I normally use the vertical, but that's just preference. Watch how cool this is. Oh, it lagged a bit there. Let me replay that for you. Look at that. Look at that. That's super cool. And even if let's change the animation in because I really want to emphasize how good this is because I use this all the time. This is one of my top tips. So if we watch this again, keep an eye on our man there. Look at that. Really seamless, really cool, and stops the hard cut. So that's another great way to use scene transitions. Other than that, they're just a great way, try and mix them up. Don't use the same one too much. And if you do need to kill some dead time, you can just increase or decrease their duration there. So that's how to use scene transitions in Beyond.